This is the 7th and final video for the Battle of Classes pitch event at the University of Houston. So if you've made it here intentionally and this is the 7th video you're watching, congratulations, you've done it almost. Just 10 more minutes left. If you have not watched any of the other videos, please look in the description below to find them all linked. And then also if you have questions, you are more than welcome to contact me. Information also in the description of this video. Kelly, why don't you tell us all about marketing and traction?
If you have a great idea, that's a really good place to be in. You're better than a lot of other startups that potentially don't have a market need, but you have to be able to reach your customer too. So in order to do that, you have to understand your customer. Is it consumers? Is it businesses? And then also understand, where do these customers hang out? Where do they get the information about what you're selling? So how could you easily reach them? And I think a common flaw that people have in this marketing and traction plans is that they think the things they're familiar with are the things that are going to work. So a lot of people are familiar with social media and they think, oh, we'll just run a few Facebook ads. And generally, that might not be the best answer for your particular customer. I mean, it might be, but it also could be there's a lot of different ways to more easily reach that customer because they're looking for information about your product or service in different places. So I'm going to go through a list of 18 different traction channels that you can be thinking about when you're starting your company and trying to reach your customers, because you should probably be gaining traction almost at the same time you're building, because you want to make sure that you're getting traction in the right way. So you can test this too. You can pick a few of them that you think make sense for your customer. And also by talking to your customer and learning where they were looking for that information, you can test them in small scale and then use your information that you gain from that small test to make bigger, money purchases in these traction channels. So I'm just going to quickly go through all of these and tell you about them. So one is blogs. Essentially, when you pay blogs to put information about your startup in the blog posts. Publicity is your traditional publicity, like newspapers, print ads, not print ads, newspapers, magazines, and unconventional PR is essentially PR stunts. SEM is search engine marketing. That's the ads you see at the top of the page whenever you Google search for something, or search engine, anything. Also, social and display ads. This is like your Facebook ads, any sort of social media ads. Offline ads, this is, your billboards, flyers, that kind of thing. SEO, search engine optimization, this is page rank. So right under that, those ads that you see on your Google search engine is the pages that are ranked the highest based off a lot of different criteria that Google uses in their algorithm to rank those pages. Content marketing. So content marketing is when you write articles about something that's like maybe a little clickbaity and link your own company to those articles. So a company that did this really well was eHarmony. They made a bunch of articles about how to ace the first date. And in that article would put links to eHarmony. Email marketing, essentially what it sounds like, it's emailing customers. Viral loops, this is essentially like having some sort of referral program that loops in more and more customers. Business development, this is business brand or brand partnerships. Direct sales, directly calling or talking to potential customers. Affiliate programs, this is essentially when you pay someone else to put a link on their site or in their social media, and then every time someone buys your product, they actually get a small percentage of that. So like influencers do this a lot. If they post a product and every time someone clicks on that link, they get like a small percentage of that sale. Existing platforms. So using an already existing platform, thinking like the App Store for Apple. If you're using that, you can get a certain amount of just traction just by being on the App Store or like being higher ranked in the App Store. Trade shows or offline events, they can be great ways to meet people. Obviously, right now we're in this weird spot where we're not really having those events, but they're great ways to actually get your customer, and oftentimes overlooked as one of the best traction channels. Speaking engagements, this can be great because it actually gives you a lot of validity if you're a speaker to whatever it is you're doing. So this is a good way to gain customers. Community building, this is building a community before you even start selling a product. Okay, that was pretty quick. We're going to move on to market opportunity. So this is just about assessing, is there a good opportunity for this? Okay, so what we're going to focus on is calculating a total addressable market for a beachhead market. And I do want to mention really quickly, there's some terminology here that's thrown around with startups. And normally when we talk about total addressable market, we're saying the largest possible market or demand for an item in general. But we're going to focus specifically on the largest possible like completely getting your beachhead market. So the beachhead market is that initial target market, or the customer that cares the most, that target customer profile. So your beachhead TAM is checking to make sure you're going in the right direction. So it's not to say this is the only person that's ever going to have a demand for your item, which is kind of more of what the total addressable market in general is. But, is this specific customer that you're seeking? If you get every single person in that market, 100% of that, would that show you're going in the right direction? Okay, so how do you calculate that? It's essentially the amount of annual revenue expressed in dollars per year that your business would earn if you achieved 100% market share in that market. So you're taking into account how many users or customers are in that target customer profile. You're determining how much revenue per year you can get from each of those customers, and then you're multiplying the two numbers. So when you're determining how many users or customers are in the target customer profile, there's two different ways you can determine that. So there's a top-down analysis or a bottom-up. Top-down is going to be, industry research or reports, or using data like from the census or something, and then whittling that down by percentages based off of some sort of research or whoever your target customer is. And bottom up is actually more like you're using data from testing. So you're testing with customers and understanding what percentage of them actually use this or would be interested in this, and using that percentage to kind of narrow down the market. And I'll show you an example of that so it makes it a little bit more clear to understand. But before that, also talk about how do you determine how much revenue you can get from each of them. So when you're determining revenues, you should look at, well, what are the comparable products? How much would it cost you to make if you're setting a price for a product? And seeing like how much you can actually get from each customer, and then how much value you're providing to, this just gives you an idea of what you're pricing it at so you can see the revenue. So you understand, if I have this many customers, this is the price, I multiply those two numbers, that's going to be your target market, TAM, your target total addressable market. Okay, so to give you an example that will hopefully make this more clear. So Phase Filter, they're a company that creates an air filter that automatically changes, so you only have to change your air filter once a year. So if you live in a house or you're a new homeowner, you probably know that your air filter needs to be changed pretty regularly to keep your air quality clean and be better for your HVAC system. But you have to change them like once every month or every 3 months, depending on your HVAC system and the filters you're using. So it can be a little bit inconvenient to go change your filters all the time. And this is intended to be an automatically rolling filter paper so that you only have to change it out once a year. And it also provides better air quality and potentially lower electrical costs for your HVAC system. So when deciding who to capture first, his end user profile, or his beachhead market, his first initial market that cared the most, he was saying he thought it was new homeowners in metro areas that are young professionals or couples, let's say age 28 to 45, that are interested in tech and home automation. Now, this doesn't have to be the first end user profile or the first beachhead market customer. It could have been that he went after people with allergies or specific sensitivities. It's just a matter of who you think you have access to, who you think cares the most. And in this case, the end user profile, well, a guess was the new homeowners and young professionals, couples that are this age interested in this kind of technology. So in order to determine how many people are in that end user profile, we go about looking at the top-down approach. So how do you use research or reports to determine? So you can look at how many new homes are sold in a year, how many are in metro areas, how many of those people are aged 28 to 40. You can basically just use data that's publicly available to find this information. Okay, for the bottom up though, we're using customer data or interviews. So when you're going out and doing customer interviews and you're looking at that group of people, so people that just bought a new home in a metro area are these specific ages, when you ask them and see how many were interested in home automation or tech for their home, let's say for 100 customers you talked to, you had about 40% or 40 of them that were interested. So you could say, okay, whatever that number is that I got from this research about how many homes were sold in metro areas for this age group, I can use about 40% of that to say that amount would be interested in tech. This like new technology for their home air filter, or that they would be your end user profile. So interested in tech for their home, and would be a part of that end user profile. So let's say that was just for sake of making things more rounded. Let's say the number you got from research of new homes sold in metro areas, that these ages are about 1 million people. And since 40% of the people you talked to from that smaller group were interested in tech and home automation, we're going to say 400,000 is your initial market size for that beachhead market. So then we're going to look at the revenue. So look at how much does it cost to make? I mean, it won't be determinative in pricing because it doesn't really matter what it costs to make. It matters what it's worth to your customer. but just understanding like that to know is it going to be successful is important. So if you can make it for $300 and your customer will only pay 100, well, that's a good initial assessment to know right off the bat. Also considering like how much of the competitors, how much would the consumer save, or how much could you price it at? So let's say for the sake of talking about this phase filter that other filters cost about like $20 and have to be changed out about 4 times a year. So that's $80. And on top of that, this is actually going to save consumers time and energy. And it's also going to maybe save them money on their costs for their heating and cooling system, and potentially have better air quality as well. So instead of the $80, it's going to be priced at $100. And so also from this end user profile, we said that there's going to be 400,000 people that are in the end user profile, that it's going to be about $100 each. So that's looking at about $40 million as your beachhead market. And generally you want your TAM to be around $20 to $100 million for tech companies. It could be less depending on different things, like if you're going to go to market quickly or if you have low overhead costs, but you want it to be pretty big so that you can see like, is this heading in the right direction? And again, this isn't necessarily going to be every single person that you think is going to buy this. It's just going to give you an indication. Are you heading in the right direction? Is this a big enough market?
All right, you've done it. You know the drill at this point, hopefully. This is video number 7. So go and take quiz number 7 at bit.ly/BOTC_quiz7. Then go and record your pitch and submit an application to bit.ly/BOTC_apply. As always, you can email me if you need help. I'm more than happy to sit down and discuss your pitch, help you structure it. And if you have any questions, shoot them my way. Looking forward to hearing all the pitches.